Hey, what's good? The other day, I was reminiscing on when cable was still a thing and how I would just flip through the channels to look for movies or shows. Until I would stumble upon something interesting and start diving into the whole franchise. Ugh, the good old days. Nowadays, we have access to everything with streaming services developing projects that won't even make profit. Nonetheless, the reason why I bring this up is because this is how I discovered the Karate Kid franchise. Being around 8 at the time and witnessing the best film in the franchise is honestly a sight to bear. And yes, the Jaden Smith one is the best movie in the franchise. If you think otherwise, you're just wrong. Now, due to how much I love this film, I would actually go back and watch the previous movies that were released. Besides that one film that no one seems to talk about. If y'all think I should watch it and make a video on it, please let me know down in the comment section below. Anyways, upon watching those films, I quickly realized that this series has its highs and its lows. Despite this, the franchise always felt special to me when you're watching it, witnessing a wholesome story between a student and their master as the student Holy fuck, this is basically Star Wars! Okay, but for real, it is actually interesting seeing these kids take karate so seriously and having them fight over petty high school drama. Unfortunately, due to the critics taking the story of these films a tad too literally, it caused the franchise to be at a halt after the 2010 reboot, where it was left in the dust. But then, these three passionate guys decided to create a sequel series where it focuses on Johnny Lawrence as an adult. The series I'm talking about is Cobra Kai, and it was a massive hit amongst the fans. Personally, I got into it a bit late as my friends put me onto the show around season 3 or 4. However, I can definitely say that it is on par, if not better, than some of those original movies. It truly felt like a proper sequel with its Karate Kid charm and its not serious story. Plus, those action sequences were beyond fire. Alongside that, it gave respectable character arcs to both Johnny Lawrence and Daniel LaRusso that by the end of the series, it was growth that was very much needed. So when they announced Karate Kid Legends, the next movie in the franchise, that will have Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio reprise their roles as Mr. Han and Daniel LaRusso, I was instantly hyped. Truthfully, there were so many questions going through my head as how they're going to combine both narratives. Especially since Mr. Han teaches Kung Fu rather than karate. Is this new main character going to be the ultimate ninja warrior since he knows both martial arts? So when the film was released and I watched it, I got left feeling defeated, as my questions got poorly answered and the movie itself didn't feel like a Karate Kid movie. So before we delve into why that is, be sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe for more content like this. Don't forget to watch the movie before this video. I'm curious to know if you guys will agree with me or not. But with that out of the way, it's time to dive into Karate Kid Legends. The film opens up in Okinawa, Japan, 1986, where we see a young Daniel LaRusso talking to Mr. Miyagi. They talk about the first Miyagi, named Shimpo Sensei, who brought karate to Okinawa. Miyagi then tells the story of how one day he fell asleep fishing, which caused him to drift away to China. This is where the Han family comes in, as they took Shimpo in after they found him on the shore. They taught him Kung Fu and took care of him. Once Shimpo returned to Okinawa, he started Miyagi Karate, based off what he learned in China.
2 branches, 1 tree.
Keep this saying in mind for the whole movie. Trust me, it's important. Afterwards, we're then brought to the present day in Beijing, China. We're introduced to Mr. Han teaching Kung Fu in his own dojo, which is pretty cool to be honest, especially after the events of the Jaden Smith movie. Good job, Han. Nevertheless, within this dojo resides one student who'll rise above the rest. One individual who is destined to become the ultimate warrior. One man who will take over the martial arts world! And his name is Li Fong, played by Ben Wong. Now, for those of you who don't know moments leading up to the film, the producers opened up the lead role to the public. This was actually really cool of them to do, and something I was excited to see. Hey, I even know someone that actually auditioned for this role. I mean, maybe it was a good thing he didn't get it. Regardless, I mainly bring this up because there's scenes like this.
No, Mom, our life's here. And how long are you gonna keep this a secret from me?
Clearly, he's not the best actor, but I'm not gonna criticize him for it. As I mentioned before, this role could have literally gone to anyone, so truly, he's just trying his best. And if I'm being real with y'all, he does get better throughout the movie. Which means I'm not gonna mention it from here on out unless there's a funny scene revolving around it. Also, he was recently in The Long Walk and he performed phenomenally, so his acting is getting a lot better. I'm kinda proud of him. From here, Lee's mom walks through the dojo, putting everyone in a frenzy. Han tells this girl to distract her, and Lee hides away from his mother. Han and his mother then start talking together. It then gets revealed that Han is her uncle and that she doesn't want Lee learning Kung Fu as she lost one son to it already. I'm sorry, I know I shouldn't be laughing, but one thing I love about this franchise is how deep things get. Like, if people in real life took martial arts this seriously, I'd be afraid to go to a restaurant or something, since I'd be forced into fighting ninjas out of nowhere. Anyways, Han still wants Lee to do Kung Fu because he believes it benefits him. Lee's mother then reveals that they're moving to New York City as she got a new job. But, oh no, she never asked Lee what he thinks! So he chases after her and they have a conversation about it. She basically becomes a G and tells her son to deal with it, leaving Lee to be worried as he gotta leave his old life and make new friends.
Oh, boo-hoo! Let me play a sad song for you on the world's smallest violin.
Seriously though, why is this such a common trope? I get it, it's annoying to leave everyone behind and be forced to meeting new people, but bro, if I lived in Gotham and found out I'm moving, I'd start bouncing off the walls with excitement. Look, I'm not trying to relate his current living situation to the horrors of Gotham. I'm just saying, it's better to acknowledge the new opportunities that could come your way from moving. You know? So, as Lee and his mom heads towards New York, we then get a pretty mediocre title card. Eventually, they make it to their new apartment. As Lee is settling in his new room, he begins reminiscing on his brother a bit, which is pretty sad, leaving me wanting to know more. Lee then tells his mom that he's going to the pizza place by their house for dinner. This is when we see Lee walk down to the cleanest, most sleek street of New York I've ever seen. As someone who lives in New York, this shot right here literally doesn't exist. It almost feels dystopian to even look at. Is this what they think New York is like in the UK? Anyways, Lee makes his way to Victory Pizza. He asks the forbidden question about stuffed crust at a local pizza shop, and the owner starts trolling him. His daughter then interrupts and actually tries to help Lee. Lee starts rizzing her up, and she tells him where to cop toilet paper for his new apartment. Lee then leaves for a bit, and she's already infected by his charm. It's been 9 minutes into the movie, and Lee's about a bag a number faster than I can. Following this, we cut to the next day where Lee is about to leave his school. He shares a nice moment with his mom, which is then followed by a montage of Lee heading to school. During the montage, Lee is depicted to be on the train where he notices a martial arts poster. This is when we get our first glimpse of the quote-unquote villains of the movie. We'll get into them more later on. Just for now, the film tries to hint at this big bad coming up. Lee finally makes his way to school, meaning that the montage will just continue for some reason. From here, we see Lee beginning to adjust to the American schooling. This scene felt too real. Every time I saw my school lunch, I thought it was radioactive or something. Also, while we're here, after this scene, we're shown a shot of Pizza Girl at his school, but instead of having Lee look at her to imply that this angle is through his eyes, they kind of just show it. It feels so random since this montage is about Lee's school life. It's like they mainly put it here just for us to know that they go to the same school. Regardless, Lee finishes school and begins walking home. On the way home, he notices Pizza Girl dropping tomato sauce on the floor. How is she here before them even though they end school at the same time? I don't know. It's Karate Kid logic. It don't gotta make sense. Lee, the gentleman he is, then helps pick up the cans that she dropped. He offers to carry them for her on the way home, thus causing him to turn into Duke Dennis as they begin getting closer. As they're walking home, Lee notices the dojo that contained the villains that were on the poster. The girl then awkwardly asks Lee if he's into karate. He says he used to do kung fu, and the girl basically tells him that it's good that he stopped and he should never train at that dojo. They then try to leave, and this happens.
Long time no see.
Not long enough.
Tell your daddy owes me a call.
Tell him yourself, O'Shea.
I tried. The old man don't listen.
So yeah, Mia over here explains to Lee that her dad owes him money, so it's best to stay off the block. I'm just confused as to why. This dude Lee is a fucking warrior. He could probably take O'Shea if he wanted to. Also, if O'Shea wanted his money so badly, why doesn't he just go to the shop himself? Like, bro, it's not like you're gonna melt if you walk into his pizzeria, bro. Y'all can see now why these villains are so dumb. Trust me though, it only gets worse for them. One last thing, they're acting like this is some sort of mafia territory. I know it's a Karate Kid thing for them to do, but it's just too funny not to mention. After the two leave, O'Shea tells his student that Mia seems to have moved on from him, which leaves me with two questions. One, how did she move on that fast? Literally, Lee just got to New York, bro. Two, why is this middle-aged man encouraging this high school drama? Like, gang, don't you got bills to pay? Why are you involved in this shit? Obviously, the ex-boyfriend then gets tight, which makes him kick his sparring partner in the face. To be fair, he was laughing at what O'Shea said, but bro, if you're gonna fight someone, fight Lee at that point. Soon after, we see Mia complaining about a replacement part costing $600. This causes Lee to talk to the store clerk in Mandarin, telling her that Mia is his girlfriend, thus allowing her to lower the price to $450. Mia and the Chinese Duke Dennis walk out ecstatic as he begins to rizz her up some more. Lee offers to teach her Mandarin if she takes him around New York. She agrees, and Lee already has a date, although he's been in America for less than a week. Truly, this dude's game is immaculate, bro. From here, a day passes by, and Mia is just outside waiting for Lee. Wait, what the fuck? How did she know where he lives? Not once did Lee mention the exact building he lives in. The writers try to make this a cutesy, adorable moment, but instead it gives off
serial killer, psychopathic vibes, bro.
Since they gave us no scene of Lee telling her where his exact apartment is. Truthfully, this scene makes Mia feel like the female Ted Bundy. Lee, if I was you, I'm heading back inside and hopping on Fortnite or something. Anywho, Mia takes Lee around New York whilst on her scooter. This wholesome moment then comes to an end as the engine's scooter gets fried, forcing the two to take the subway home. But, oh no, her ex is on the same train as them!
Okay, Connor, you can keep walking now. We're just trying to get home. It's been a long day.
Oh, so you guys are a we now, huh? See, I didn't even know we were done. Here you are.
Okay, firstly, did he just say that he didn't know that they broke up? Which means that everything we saw up to this point is Mia cheating on her boyfriend. Gang, if you don't want him, just leave! Right now, it just sounds like you want Lee to fight for your problems. How are we supposed to like Mia if she's just setting Lee up for disaster? Bro, instead of making her a sweet girl, they decided to make her a Ramona Flowers type of character. Seriously, it feels like the writers watched Scott Pilgrim before making this film and decided to take that idea and apply it to Karate Kid. See, that doesn't work, cause I'm here to see some fire-ass fighting scenes, not some whack-ass drama that someone came up with in 5 minutes. If they wanted drama into it, why not just make Connor a jealous ex that never got over her? Why overcomplicate it? Regardless, Connor decides to punch Lee even though he should be more mad at his girl. We then cut to Mia telling Lee that she's sorry for what happened. She explains that he regrets dating him, which makes me question more as to why she didn't tell him that they were done, but I digress. Mia then says that Connor always wins the 5 boroughs, which is this film's huge karate tournament that takes place around the city. Lee then checks his eye and notices this huge mark. This causes Mia to have her father cover the eye with makeup so Lee's mother doesn't crash out. During this moment, Mia's father reveals that he also used to fight, which is how he learned to do makeup. I guess everyone just fights in the Karate Kid universe. The next morning, Lee's mother notices his black eye, causing her to be annoyed at Lee. Honestly, this just made me feel bad for him because he didn't even have a choice to not fight. His mom then takes him to the library for Lee to begin his SAT tutoring sessions. This is where we get the funniest scene throughout the whole film.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't be laughing if I were you. Have you met my mom?
Did she do that to your eye?
Can we get a round of applause for the writers making me unironically laugh? Damn, do I like this movie? No. Trust me y'all, it gets worse. Afterwards, Lee is depicted in his room as he reminisces on his brother some more. This is when we get one of the only martial arts scenes we've gotten so far within the last 22 minutes. I'm not joking either. It's almost been 30 minutes into the movie and it feels like nothing happened. Seriously, I couldn't even tell you this was a Karate Kid movie by this point because all I've been witnessing is useless exposition. If it wasn't for the title, I think this movie's a TV show about some Chinese kid who knows Kung Fu and is dealing with American high school drama. Oh, that exists already? And Lee, you're here too? Well, now I know where the writers got their inspiration from. It's the next day, and Lee is leaving school. As Lee is walking out, Connor decides to bully him once again. They begin a fight, and a pretty fire action sequence transpires. Lee gets bodied, which causes him to attempt the dragon kick. He tries it, but Connor manages to hurricane kick him in the face. Then the teachers pull up, separating the two. Connor then threatens Lee to join the 5 boroughs so that they can have a fair fight. It also appears that he wants to take on the teachers for some reason. This dude has some serious anger issues. Can the cops investigate that dojo? Cause bro, there's no way everyone turns out like this. This is such a shit movie. So Lee starts to think if he should take on the 5 boroughs. He then heads home and begins staring at Mia's scooter. He starts tampering with it for some reason, and O'Shea's goons pull up. Victor, did I mention that was his name? My bad. I just didn't care. Then tries to defend Lee. But wait, Victor, watch out! There's a guy behind you! Oh no! Lee, it's up to you now, bro! So Lee begins to live up to the warrior name and takes out each goon one by one, literally saving Victor. Lee then explains to him that he knows Kung Fu, resulting in Victor asking Lee to teach him Kung Fu. Vic then takes Lee to the back of his shop and shows him that he used to be a professional boxer. During his time, he was prime Mayweather, but then he had Mia, so he ended up becoming current Tyson Fury. However, this is where Lee comes in, as he wants him to train him so he can enroll into this fight for a cash prize. Unfortunately, Lee denies this offer, just like how Star-Lord denied being a Celestial. But luckily for Mike Tyson, Lee really wants to help, causing him to call Han, asking for advice. He tells him that if Kung Fu can benefit Victor, he should teach him. This weird cut then happens, and he tells Victor that he's ready to teach him.
And you're slow, and your footwork's sloppy. You take more punches than you throw, which I feel like you think that's a talent, but it's not.
Wait, am I missing something here? How does he know that? We never saw Victor fight anyone up to this point. Is Lee trash talking him to hype himself up? Cause man, he's lucky this dude ain't Mike Tyson. Imagine I went up to Mike and told him that he fights like someone's grandma to hype myself up. Mike just gonna fling me out the ring, bro. Anyway, we get the quickest training montage ever as Mia shows up out of nowhere. She gets tight at this, even though the dad is trying to do something nice for his family. This is when we get the proper training montage as Lee teaches him that everything in life is Kung Fu. At this point, you may start to realize the worst part about this movie. You see, this movie has nothing to do with Kung Fu or karate. In fact, this whole movie revolves around boxing, as the next 30 minutes revolves around this boxing arc. For some reason, the writers forgot the title of the whole film. They might as well named it The Boxing Dad instead of marketing it as a Karate Kid movie. Now trust me, I like the idea of Lee teaching someone for them to win, but if they were gonna do that, why have this whole BS drama with Connor take place? It takes away from the whole story when most of the film is this boxing plotline. It's like this was supposed to be the B plot, but it somehow became the A plot as they were filming. Oh, speaking of useless side plots, Connor sees Mia and Lee sharing a moment during the montage. Oh no! Honestly, I don't give a fuck on what he does. It's probably good that I didn't either, as we don't get a resolution to this scene till the end of the movie. For now, we get Lee beating on the sandbag from Smash Bros. As he's struggling with the loss of his brother. Victor then walks in on him and the two talk about what's wrong. This is when we learn that Lee lost his brother after a Kung Fu tournament. These typical enemies pulled out a knife and stabbed him while Lee just stood there. Damn, this shit got dark pretty fast. It's honestly some of the best written stuff in this film. Nonetheless, they should have put this in the beginning of the movie, so it gave a proper reasoning as to why Lee stops fighting, instead of dragging out the whole brother plotline for 40 straight minutes. Imagine Lee came to New York and helped Victor, which went against his no fighting rule. That would have been a fire and interesting film, but nah. Instead, we get something that kind of feels like AI slop. Victor then tells Lee to not let his regret consume him. This is actually good advice and made it a nice moment. After, we get more useless drama as Lee sees Mia linking up with Connor. Following this, we're shown the big fight night. Victor is practicing and Lee is ignoring Mia. They yap for a bit and then this happens.
Oh my god.
Really? Thank you, Victor. We got more important stuff on our hands. Come on, guys, focus up. So here we are, the big fight night. Italian Gervonta Davis is on his way to the ring. He's up against Canelo Alvarez. Yeah, this dude is cooked. Wait a minute. Victor might actually have this. Actually, yo, Victor's cooking. Guys, he might take it home. Oh, wait. Never mind. So yeah, it turns out O'Shea paid Canelo over here to rig the fight, which means that he threw an illegal elbow towards Victor's face, causing him to get knocked out. Yeah, I can see why this is a Karate Kid movie. So he gets sent to the hospital and Lee is getting flashbacks to his brother, causing him to stay behind. He then starts crashing out like I would if I was 5. Afterwards, we see him walking into his apartment at night. However, something feels off, and this random ninja starts attacking Lee. Oh wait, it's just Jackie Chan. Definitely didn't see that coming. To be honest, not much happens with him being back. All you guys need to know is that he convinces Lee to enter the 5 boroughs so he can win the tournament in order to help out Victor in his finances. But before he can truly help Lee, he needs the help from a certain someone. Which means he travels to California to find Daniel LaRusso. Han pulls up to the Miyagi dojo. He walks in looking for Daniel, then begins glazing Mr. Miyagi harder than Daniel himself. Daniel disrupts his glaze, and the two both begin to glaze Miyagi harder than Krispy Kreme glazing their donuts.
Lee means to me what you meant to Sensei Miyagi.
Wait a minute, what about Xiao Dre? Bro, no wonder why Jaden Smith didn't come back. This dude Han practically abandoned him. Dre, don't worry, you're still the best fighter in my eyes. We cut back to Lee as his tutor brought him to a place where he could train. So the next morning, Han begins training with Lee. LaRusso also pulls up in a bit. I don't know why the two couldn't begin training him from the jump, but who cares? Also, if you're wondering, Han also convinces Lee's mom to let him fight, so that plotline that we clearly cared about came to an end. Anyways, we also get a shot of Connor training, cause you know, he's the big bad. I swear, I feel like he's practically done nothing this entire movie. Returning back to Lee, we witness him dealing with 2 senseis. This is where Daniel LaRusso learned nothing from Cobra Kai, as him and Han have 2 different distinct training styles, making Lee want to end it all. While this happens, the Team of Cobra Kai is still preparing for this huge event. Then we get Han telling Lee to go bag the Huz, resulting in Lee setting up a nice date between them. This ends up being a pretty nice moment and puts an end to a plotline that wasn't needed. By now, a week has passed, and here we are, the 5 boroughs tournament. The moment Lee has been training for. The moment where the 2 branches finally come together. Let's check in on his first match.
1 point Buddha Stevens.
Welcome to the 5 boroughs.
Gang, you ain't tough. Bro sounded like a typical goon you'd fight in one of those beat 'em up games. Anywho, Lee destroys level 1 Goblin and wins his first match. He then watches Han and LaRusso spar since they're struggling with the 2 branches 1 tree. Even though that's the point of the whole movie. Holy fuck, this film can't even keep its central theme. Nevertheless, Lee starts advancing through the tournament. But oh no! Connor's also advancing rapidly! Who would have thought that? Meaning that the 2 are gonna meet each other in the finals! Oh no! Clearly, Connor not gonna be happy with that. So Bowser Jr. over here sends his minions to take out Mario and the gang. This is where the hardest action sequence throughout the film takes place, as we see Lee, Han, and Daniel all take out each minion one by one. Following this, LaRusso and Han are struggling with the 2 branches 1 tree. Truly, I don't know how it's this hard to understand that, but you know, genius writers over here. Due to them acting like they have 10 IQ, they begin abusing Lee. He eventually walks away to take a break, which is then followed by Daniel talking about Mr. Miyagi.
Teacher only as good as his students. Sensei Miyagi taught me that.
I miss him. But every time I have the chance to pass on a piece of his legacy, it's never the wrong choice.
Yep, clap it up, guys. Add this one to the list of glazing that Daniel has done to Mr. Miyagi. Truthfully, a respectable glazer. LaRusso then notices Lee practicing his dragon kick, which gives him the idea for Lee to still use it against Connor. In order for this to work, Lee would need to learn to avoid Connor's kick, then strike him soon after. So the two senseis take Lee to the subway, where he can learn to slide under the turntable. From this point, this arc gets dragged out for the next 3 minutes, as Lee does some random bullshit in between him learning this move. Seriously, this training arc feels so rushed yet dragged that I'm so confused why it couldn't come sooner within the film. It's like this movie should have been a television show rather than an actual film. This is especially seen within the 2 branches, 1 tree, since every time they bring it up, they never follow through with it. LaRusso even mentions it within this scene, yet he was struggling to work with Han. Instead of providing a proper story of the 2 working together, they just cram it in the last 20 minutes and expect it to make sense. I'm telling you, that happening made more sense than this. Anyways, the worst training arc ever finally ends and the big day has finally arrived. Lee's mother comes by to let him know she'll be by his side for his final fight, allowing the 2 to share a nice moment. Han and Daniel then prep Lee for the fight.
2 branches.
1 tree.
Okay, bro. Keep in mind, this was them earlier.
What happened to 2 branches, 1 tree?
1 branch stronger than the other.
This is what I mean. Y'all make no fucking sense. The Auralist Avengers start walking out towards the ring. Lee eventually enters the ring and has a face-to-face with young Ben Solo. This is it! Lee, your moment! This is what the last 20 minutes has been building up towards. You got this! Do it for me and Victor! Do it for your senseis! Most importantly, do it for yourself! Is what the writers expected us to say. Because Lee gets bodied within the first 5 seconds. But don't worry, after all his friends and family act like they're in a Disney movie, Lee channeled his inner warrior and began crushing Connor. But then, oh no! Lee got hit with an illegal blow, knocking him out! Oh wait, he just gets up soon after. Why were you worried? And yes, you. From here, Lee finally learns what it means to be 2 branches under 1 tree, even though he had the worst senseis to teach him that. This is because he baits Connor by doing the dragon kick, leaving him vulnerable and allowing Lee to finish the job, thus causing him to win the tournament. Wait a sec. Lee was clearly down during this scene. How the fuck did he get up so fast? I swear, the continuity in this film is worse than War of the Worlds. Regardless, Lee wins the tournament, making everyone around him happy, as Lee was the true Karate Kid. Oh, hey Johnny, why couldn't you be in this movie earlier? It would have been so much better. So yeah, that was Karate Kid Legends. If I'm being honest, upon rewatch, this film is not as terrible as I thought it was. With that being said, the whole movie still strove away from the core values of Karate Kid. You could tell they had the building blocks for something special, but for some reason, it just didn't land. Lee still remains as a boring main character, Mia finally escaped the useless drama, Connor and O'Shea gotta be the worst antagonists of all time, and Han and LaRusso ended up being useless cash grabs. Overall, I'm giving this film a 3 out of 10 as the boxing scenes took away from the actual movie. However, the fight scenes were still quite enjoyable. We're putting this on the ruined diamond tier since no film can truly ruin a character worse than this, right?
You are never even a man.
You're letting him kill Martha.
What does that mean? Why did you say that name?
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to this.